Hi, it's Olivia, and this is This Lovely Stitch, where we love what we make and explore the creative process. So today I have a stack of crochet and knitting books, and I thought it would be fun just to kind of go through and take an inventory of the books I have, and talk about some of the types of books or specific books that I want for the future to expand my collection. I am a senior in high school and live in Maryland, and I plan on going to college next year, so I think it's really good to think about what I meaningfully have and see what things I may want to give away before I head off to college, and just what books are really valuable to me as a crafter. So I pulled these in no particular order. These are all from my shelf. As I'm looking here now, I realize I am missing one, so I'll have to grab that at the end of the video. So whatever your guess is, put it in the comment below how many books you think I'm going to talk about today, including, and add one, because there's one more that needs to be added to this stack. But yeah, these are kind of just it. So I'm just going to talk about what I use them for, my favorite ones, and we'll go through them all. So get cozy, grab a drink if you want to, and let's go through this. So book number 1 is Alterknit, and the full title is Alterknit Stitch Dictionary, 200 Modern Knitting Motifs. And this book is by Andrea Rangel. Sorry for the pronunciation of last names, it's not my strong suit, but I will have all of these linked down below so you can buy them on your own or see if your library has them. That's a resource I really like. Most crochet books or knitting books I use, I borrow them from the library, because usually it's only maybe 1 or 2 patterns or like a specific technique that I need, and I don't actually want or need the whole book. So this book actually is the newest book I've gotten. I haven't made anything from this book yet, but it's pretty much just a whole bunch of different crochet or pattern motifs. So it has the graph you can kind of see here, and it's numbered along the side and the bottom. And you can make these projects. So yeah, you can make anything. It's just a whole bunch of different patterns. Like this one was like a leaf. Let's see, what's one of the ones I really like? I've gone through and kind of like highlighted some of my favorite ones that I know 100%, like this flower. This one I 100% want to make in a project or something. I just think it's a really cool pattern. So yeah, it has a whole bunch of different things. It has some animal ones, like here's a picture of an animal one. These ponies with the hearts, so cute. So yeah, just a whole bunch of different stuff in here. It does have some actual patterns, so using the motif. There's a pattern for a hat in here. It's at the back. So at the beginning of the book, they do have like some stuff about choosing colors and how to actually knit color work. So it talks about knitting in this book, but you can definitely crochet using color work from this book, because although I haven't tried stitch patterns from this book, I have used stitch patterns in general, and I know you can do it with crochet too. So maybe I'll do a video on that. But yeah, I'm primarily a crocheter who occasionally knits and learned how to knit first. So that is really helpful to me. And it just has some other patterns, like there's this sweater on here that's really cute. You can kind of see the color work there. So yeah, this is book number 1, Alterknit. Yeah, Alterknit Stitch Dictionary. All right, book number 2. This is called Ready, Set, Crochet. Learn to Crochet with 19 Hot Projects, and this is by Susie Johns. I don't remember how I got this book. I'm pretty sure a relative in my family gave it to me, maybe when I was in middle school, just starting out with learning how to crochet. I do like this because it has a stand on the back here, so you can stand it up while you're crafting, which is really nice. It also comes out of this like pocket, so it can be like a little spiral notebook that you carry around. This one is a really good book because it has basics, but then also has some projects. Like here, it has a project to teach you how to do bobble stitches. This is one that I do think I'll give away just because I know all the basic stuff in this book, and the projects that are included are not things I'm super interested in making in the near future, or things that I could just, if I really wanted to make it, I don't mind buying the pattern for it. So yeah, this is Ready, Set, Crochet by Susie Johns. All right, book number 3 is the Knitting Stitch Handbook. So I have a lot of handbooks. You're gonna see this is a trend, but especially as I was first learning how to knit, I learned to knit when I was in 6th grade, and I learned how to crochet when I was in 10th grade. Or actually, no, I learned to crochet when I was in 9th grade, so I would have been like 13 or 14 when I learned to crochet. Knitting, I did have some people in my family who knew how to knit, but they lived far away, so it was like people you see Thanksgiving, Christmas, the holidays. So I had a lot of knitting stitch books to kind of teach me different techniques. This one is more advanced than the other ones I have because it has a lot of cable and pattern work patterns in here. And it really is just what it says. It's different stitches that you can do. Like it has some color work here, but this is more Fair Isle. I would say the Alterknit book is more modern, more unique, like kind of eccentric patterns. And it does have some like unique, it does have some more standard color work techniques in there, but there's also some variety. This one is just basic everyday stitches that you'll see in patterns. So yeah, this is the Knitting Stitch Handbook by Maria Pari Jones. All right, book number 4. This is the Knitter's Guide to Combining Yarns, 300 Foolproof Pairings. And this is by Kathleen Greco and Knit Greco. This one I have definitely used a lot because I don't make the best color decisions. I've learned that with time. Some of my old projects I look back and I just don't wear them anymore because the colors either don't suit my skin tone or just colors I'm like, why would I think these colors look good together? Like there's some neon projects that just scar my mind from like middle school, and I'm like, when would I wear a neon, like 4 different colors of neon in one sweater? Just crazy choices. But anyhow, this just explains different textures, different colors, and I do really like this one. I think I'll keep this book going off to college, but I'll probably leave this at my parents' house because it's not something I use as often, but I do like using it when I use it. So yep, that is book number 4. Book number 5 is Last Minute Knitted Gifts. I got this about a year ago at a thrift store, and I really like this one because I have a huge yarn stash, so usually when I make a project, I'm more shopping my stash, not looking to buy new yarn for stuff. So these projects are really good because I feel like they're all things that you can make with stuff lying around. You can see I have like notes in here from stuff I've made before, because a lot of these things I just make them over and over again. I'm actually working on knitting this little guy, this like bunny stuffed animal for my cousin who's having a baby. So I hope she's not watching this video, but yeah, there's just so many kind of staple so many staple patterns in here that are great for any type of occasion that this book is definitely a keeper. So this book, just one more time, is Last Minute Knitted Gifts, and it's by Joelle Hoverson. And the photographs are by Anna Williams. So there we go. So I keep looking down because I'm losing track of where we are. This is book number 6, and this is the Pattern Library Knitting. This book is another one I got at the thrift store. There's one near us called Wonder Books. They have an amazing like knitting, crochet, crafting book section, and the books are like $2 or $3, so it's very so you can tell it's very addictive and easy to keep buying more and more craft books because it's like $3. That's less than a single pattern would cost, and I can get a whole book of patterns or techniques. But this one is the Pattern Library Knitting, and it doesn't have a name on here. One second. It doesn't have a name in here, so I'll put it in the comments. I'll put it in the comments and description what the full name and the author for this one is. Excuse me. This one is one I do think I'm going to get rid of because the abbreviations and just the kind of style and layout of the book are not my favorite. Like, I haven't used this in a while, and a lot of the information, like this is cable work, is already covered in some of my other knitting books, so I don't really need this one. And it's small print too, and it's just kind of awkward. But it's not a bad book at all. If you're thinking about getting it, I think I would maybe look for some more modern examples that include more modern patterns or color work or techniques, like different ways to hold the yarn. Even that I kind of find difficult following this book because it's like, I knit continental style, and this book is not framed in that style. So yeah, I think there are good options, bad options. I don't think this is a bad option. I just think there are better options out there. So yeah, there we go. This is book number 7. All right, correction, that was book number 6. This is book number 7. Okay, book number 7 is called Stitch and Bitch Nation, and the book is by Debbie Stoller. Debbie Stoller, yeah, that's what I'm gonna go with. I love this book. This is probably one of my favorite knitting books in my collection. This one I had, when I picked it up from my room, I had it beside my bed because I always am referring back to this one. This isn't one that just sits on my shelf and collects dust. It has a lot of just interesting patterns. Like, look at how cool this is. Like, look how cool this is. This is just one I had bookmarked to show you guys. But there's so many just different fun things in here. Like, this is like the British flag on a sweater. Let me find something else. What's another cool pattern in here that I have made, actually? I did make this for like a little event that I went to in middle school, and I loved it. It didn't fit me anymore, so I unfortunately just had to give it away. But just kind of eccentric, new things, a little bit of alternative designs in here, which I like. But it also gives you a little bit of story. It has different skills in it. I just think the pictures, like, I know I'm showing you a lot, but here's another one. The pictures are just kind of fun, and it's like a fun read. It's a fun read, and it does have some like writing and stories about it too, which make it more interesting and just fun to look at and read. And if you are one who kind of likes Y2K fashion, it's not necessarily my cup of tea, but they do have a lot of Y2K fashion ideas in here, like this bag. I cannot believe this is even knitted. Like, this is just amazing. And it has knitting and crochet in here. That's another thing to mention. But yeah. And this book, this specific edition, because I have another edition that we'll get to next in the pile, this specific edition has 50 patterns in it. So that's a lot. I don't know how much the book goes for normally, but I'll have it linked down below on Amazon or just like a name brand, you know, easy to get to bookstore. But I got this at a thrift store for $4.95. So about $5 rounded up for 50 plus patterns. It's pretty amazing. So that's book number 7. Book number 8 is another edition of the same book. This is Stitch and Bitch, The Knitter's Handbook by Debbie Stoller. This is just a different edition. So actually this is the first edition. I'm gonna bring the other one back. This is edition 2. So I kind of did it in reverse. But I would pretty much say the same things I said about the first book, about the second book. They're both good. They're both equally great. I'd say the first one has more about technique. Like you can see there's some technique stuff here, and all this stuff right here is technique. So a good chunk of the book is technique, but you're still getting a lot of patterns. Like this one has 40 patterns, the other one had 50, but still insanely good in my opinion. So yeah, and it has a little bit of like lore, other stuff like how to make pom-poms. Like, oh my gosh, don't ask me how to make a pom-pom. My pom-poms do not turn out well, but following this book and some YouTube videos, I figured it out finally. And I do like that it shows different ways to hold the needles for knitting. I know some people throw their yarn, some people don't. So if you are new to knitting, I definitely would say the Stitch and Bitch books are good because it gives you a lot of patterns that you can start off with, and it shows all the steps for those patterns and has fun pictures. So yeah, this is book number 7. All right, book number 8. Our pile is getting thinner here. Can't wait to see all your guesses. I'm gonna finish these last 2 before I get the one that I was missing. So this is book number 8, and this is the Granny Square book by Margaret, don't hold me guys, don't hold me to this. Margaret Hubert, that's what I'm gonna go with. So yeah, this book I also like. I haven't used it yet, unfortunately, but I did buy this and I was really into a Granny Square kick, and I was following all these YouTube videos online, and I'm like, I just need to see like the pattern, like the squares like this. Let me zoom in a little bit. The squares like this where it shows you kind of the stitch set out and layout. I just need to see that. Sometimes you just need some pictures. You just need some pictures. But yeah, this book just has a lot of different granny squares. It says it's 100 motifs, so that's pretty amazing. A lot of them are just super beautiful and elegant. I'm looking for an example that I highlighted earlier. Why am I stalling now? But they just have so many examples. Like, look at this. This is all one color, but look at how intricate and just kind of 3D that looks. It looks so pretty. So beyond the normal granny square, there's nothing wrong with the normal one, but it is fun to switch it up sometimes, especially if you're doing a very monotonous pattern like a blanket or like a sweater. Having some different variations can really spice up your work and spice up your crafting experience. So I actually plan on doing a series, kind of segueing a bit, but a series based on this book, where I pick different granny squares from this book and just online that are interesting and different and fun, just ideas for people who really enjoy granny squares like me. And I'll just kind of document my process making them. Do I think it's a good pattern or project, or how I would use those squares in real life? So yeah, I'm definitely going to use a lot of squares from that video series from this book. And right now I haven't fully fleshed it out yet, but I'm thinking I'll do like 3 to 5 granny squares per video, and I'll just kind of make these granny squares to use at my stash and to learn more about making granny squares because I love them so much. So yeah, that is book number 8. Book number 9 is 150 Knit and Crochet Motifs. And this is by Heather Ladinsky. So this book, I don't use that super often. I do think it's interesting and it's fun to kind of add flair to your patterns. It has like some squares, but also some circles, just like a lot of different interesting shapes. It shows how to assemble them too. Like this is one picture of how you could assemble it. This one I do think I'll be removing from my collection. Not because it's not a great book, but just for where I am now. I don't really make a lot of motifs. I'm really making more granny squares or entire projects. So a whole book on motifs. I mean, this one has 150. I don't see myself anytime soon needing 150 different options of motifs that I could make. But yeah, I did get this book at a thrift store. I think it was good for the price that I got it for, and I did make a pretty big project with this. I made a baby blanket that I don't have any pictures of, unfortunately, but it was actually using this one on the, I have a sticker, but it was this one on the cover. I made it in different shades of pink and blue, and I really enjoyed it, and it was great for that, but I think I'm ready to kind of move on from this book. Overall, I'd say it's a great book. If you know that you are a motif person, you need a motif on every project, I would recommend getting this book because it does really walk through the steps very well. Like, I'll try to find a good example, but like it has the charts, it has it written down in words, it has color pictures, references. I do like following charts, but I like when it writes it out row by row, like you can kind of see here, it's row by row. So overall, I think it's a great book, but I'm just ready to move on. So yeah, this is book number 9. So to finish out and to get, I'm going to go grab our last and final book, which I forgot on the shelf, and we can talk about that one. All right, scratch that. I cannot be trusted. I forgot about so many more books. I have even more. So sorry for those of you who guessed in the comments below, because this definitely probably is going to skew those guesses. But moving on. This is the book that I thought was the last one, but it's not. And it was kind of couched in between all these other crochet and knitting books. So this book is called Vogue Knitting, The Ultimate Stitch Dictionary, and this is by the editors of Vogue Knitting magazine. So I got this book as a beginner knitter because I just saw a lot of people on YouTube hype it up, say it was a great book for beginners. I don't know about that. Now as a more, like, I would say intermediate to advanced knitter, this is really helpful. I'm kind of just trying to go through and see. It has a lot of different color work stuff, which I do appreciate. Like this, I used this color work pattern for a scarf one time. Beautiful scarf, beautiful scarf. And it does explain things really well. This is a chunky book. Like, I don't know if you can tell. This is the book closed on the side. It is a chunky book, but it is a good book. It's helpful. It has, like, I mean, there's just nowhere you're gonna get this many stitches in one book. If you know a book that has more stitches in it, let me know, and I'll add it to my collection. But yeah, this is a really good reference book. I would say it's not a book for beginners just because it's easy to get overwhelmed by how much there is. It's family downstairs. It's literally every stitch you can imagine for knitting. So I think once you're getting past the beginner stage, like, you know you are a knitter now, you are embracing the knitting identity, that's a good time to get this book because it does explain how to read charts, how to read stitches. It has a couple projects in here, but I wouldn't say this is more of a project book. This book is really just, here's how you knit stitches, step by step, with pictures and words and graphs. So yeah, this is Vogue Knitting. Book number 11 is Cables, Diamonds, and Herringbone. The secrets, let me start over. This next book, book number 11, is called Cables, Diamonds, Herringbone, Secrets of Knitting Traditional Fisherman's Sweaters. And this is by Sabine Dominic. So this book I also got at the thrift store. I do think this is a good book because it explains how to fix sweaters, which is definitely something, if you're starting off knitting, that can be helpful. It really is a good sweaters book. Like Fisherman sweater, it's a specific type of sweater, but it really has a lot of stuff just for sweater knitting in general, how to change colors, how to knit texture, and then also stitch guides. So I think this is a pretty good book. It's definitely more obscure. I got it at a thrift store and I had a hard time looking it up on the internet, so I'm not sure if this one will be in the description. But if you ever see it when you're thrifting, or if I can get a link for it, I think this is a pretty good book, and I definitely am planning on keeping this in my collection. All right, book number 12. Book number 12 is called Fair Isle Sweaters Simplified by Anne Berghuis and Eugene Berghuis. So yeah, pretty girl on the cover. This book, Fair Isle, is a type of color work. I'm trying to find an example from the book. There you go. So you can kind of see, it's a little bit murky, but you can see it's just different color work in jewel tones and stuff. So yeah, here's a brighter picture. I do like it. It's one of my goals someday to knit something from this book, so I am going to keep it. I'm just kind of intimidated by knitting color work. That's one of my goals for 2025 because crocheting color work is like a breeze. Knitting sweaters is, knitting socks is a breeze, but knitting color work in a sweater is intimidating. So that is my goal for 2025. So for that reason, I am going to keep this book. I can't say whether it's a great book or not because I actually haven't made anything from it, but I feel like it's a good book just based on other books that I have that explain color work, explain stitches. I think it's a good book. It has a good selection of patterns. Like I'd say there's like 15, 20 patterns in here. And for sweaters, 15 to 20 sweaters in a book is pretty good. So yeah, that is book number, that's book number 12. I had to count all the books laying on my ground. Book number 13 is Sensational Knitted Socks. Sensational Knitted Socks. Ugh, tongue twister. And this is by Charlene Schurz. And this book is good. My first pair of knitted socks, I kind of used the sock lady. She has a pattern for plain vanilla socks. Oh, this is a little bit of a detour. Plain Vanilla Socks by the Crazy Sock Lady. She's on YouTube and has a free tutorial online for how to do it. I think you should buy the pattern though, because I think the pattern is fairly priced and it goes along with the video to kind of help you. Very easy. I actually I actually knitted that pair of socks over spring break on vacation. And I pretty much just was able to make it in the plain following the pattern because it was that well written. And then I just used this to kind of check in when I made mistakes or needed a little extra help. So I'd say it's a good book. I do think I'm gonna get rid of it though because I learned my lesson knitting socks. I did it, it's crossed off, but I do not like knitting socks. So I do not think I'm gonna keep this book. I'm gonna probably give it to my friend because she loves knitting socks. And this book does have patterns, like you can see some of them on the cover. So I think she'll benefit from it a lot more. So there we go. That's book number 12. Book number 13, the final one. This is called The Handknitter's Design Book, a practical guide to creating beautiful knitwear by Allison Ellen. This book is great. I have definitely used this. It has a lot of stuff about writing patterns. So if you're curious about that, this could be a good book, like how to do stripes, how to do color work, just how to write things, make shapes and details, like the different types of necks that you can do for a sweater. So I think this book is great. It's a 10 out of 10 in my book. I definitely plan on keeping it because pattern writing is something I haven't done yet, but I definitely want to do in the future. And I see myself really relying and using this book as a tool and aid. So that is all the books. Yeah, that is all the books. So I'm just going to count out all the books you have. This is your last chance to comment down below what you think they are because I'm sure I said the wrong number at some point. But we have book 1 in no particular order. Book 2, book 3, book 4, book 5, book 6, book 7, book 8, book 9, book 10, book 11, book 12, book 13, book 14, and our grand total, drum roll, is 15 books. So yeah, you definitely don't need this many knit crochet books, craft books in your collection, but you know, as you just kind of grow as a crafter, I feel like you accumulate what you need, and I definitely don't need all this. So I will give an update maybe in a couple of months about what I end up keeping and giving away. But I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And tell me down below if you were crocheting or knitting something, what you were working on. So yeah, thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.